Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. And totally live and on camera today is Rob, the Sketchcraft.
Hey, what's up?
Masking up because he's responsible.
Yep.
And yeah.
So parts in here, but you know.
So yeah. Today we'll have some Star Wars discussion as the show goes on. But yesterday I had a really, really strange experience that it at first didn't seem that crazy. You know, it didn't seem that like strange. It was strange, but it didn't seem that strange. And that's me and Rob have been talking, and I'm on a new diet because Rob's like, "You're so fat. You're taking down the show, dude. You need to lose weight." And I'm like, "Okay." No, I'm kidding. He didn't say that. But,
all porgs.
All porgs. he's all. Do you want to be a cute porg or a porkins? What's it gonna be, Jason? No,
a porkins. Oh, it's the porkins diet.
Porkins, the porkins diet.
Porkins. Yeah, I like it.
But anyways, yeah. So usually I drive the kids to the park, lazy, but we have two parks near my home. And I was like, well, Penny wanted to go to the park. My son didn't want to. And I was like, let's go to the far away park. That's what she calls it. So I'm like, okay, we'll go to the far away park. Let's do it. We'll walk down there. So as we hit the corner for whatever it matters, I was on the corner of I think Flower and Clark and Bellflower. And we're looking down towards the 91 freeway. We see what looks like at first a cluster of stacked balloons. Look like a spark plug. That's what everybody's been saying. It's the best description for it. It looked like it was like a spark plug, but of balloons. And by our house, you know, there's like Dollar Trees and those kind of places where you go and you buy, you know. James is trying to join, but it says it won't let him in. I don't know why. Anyways, it'll say like, or there's like Dollar Trees and stuff like that. And so people could buy balloons, and balloons get let go all the time. In my backyard, I see balloons, and this didn't look like it, but also at all. No, no, this totally. So I pointed out to my daughter, I'm like, look, a UFO, because her and we look for UFOs like for fun. Like I could try to keep her in, you know, kind of engaged in that stuff and in science and all that kind of stuff. And we're always looking at the environment and stuff like that. So her and I are walking, and she goes, "It is," you know. She's like what? And as I'm looking at it, and I start to go like, this does look kind of unique. This does look like something amazing or whatever. But I'm like here, and I had a drink. And I'm like, here, hold my drink. And as I go to get the phone, it just goes away. It doesn't like zip away in an amazing way. It just kind of fades away. I just could not see it anymore. And it was like going towards the 605 freeway. And I think I was facing south, which I think is like more towards the Long Beach coast. I want to say I'm on a Boy Scout. So if I mess that up, really, it's not any funny business. I just don't know what I'm doing. I'm just not good with that stuff. I wasn't in the military or anything.
Like
I wasn't
toward the beach, away from the beach.
Go down towards Long Beach where the food is good. I'm on this diet, and it sounds really good to go down there and get a meatball sandwich right now. But
they make you take a map test in basic training, right?
Yeah.
And I remembered it enough to pass the test, and then I instantly deleted all of that information from my head. Yeah, I went right back to like the minute I got a game magazine, I was like, Soul Reaver 2's coming out. All right. Like,
yeah.
Can't wait.
But yeah, so anyway, so me and my daughter are like, whoa, that was weird. And she was like, yeah. Oh yeah. And she goes, I asked her, I'm all, do you think it's a balloon? Cause I also taught her like what all of the what to look for kind of things are. And she goes, that's bigger than balloons. And I was like, yeah, I think so too. And so I go get the phone. It's gone. It's just not there anymore. We can't see it. And the sun was like directly in that direction too. So I was like looking for a minute, and I'm like, did we lose it in the sunbeams and that kind of thing? Oh, hey, look, James made it. And so I'm like, hey, James.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So I'm like, you know, did we lose it in the sun? You know, but I can't see it. So I'm like, well, you know, maybe it was balloons. That definitely looked weird, but I was kind of like, leave it alone. Like, what are you going to do? And for 1 second, I was like, oh, I should message Rob, and I should message Jason P. And I'm like, well, whatever. I got my drink in my hand and my daughter's holding my hand. We walk to the park and, we have a good time. And I kind of just like forgot about it. Like, that definitely looked weird, but I don't know. Right. Like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I didn't get a picture, but then I get home after the park, and we got her some lunch. We get home and all that stuff, and after the park, and then I follow Steven Greenstreet, and he literally has photos. Why aren't they loading? What's going on, Deep State? Okay, kidding.
Oh my gosh, you know what that is?
What?
That's the Wonkavator.
It is,
right at the end of right. It's the Wonkavator. It's the whole ending where they fly over Germany, right?
Yeah, I mean,
clearly not the United States. It goes sideways and upways and backways and forwardways and.
I mean, no, but I mean, it was that. This is, I mean, honestly, in a weird way, this is where it got weirder for me. It got weirder for me in the sense that I go on and like I watch Steven's show. I think it's a fun show, the Office Basement and all that. And so I followed him on Twitter, and then I see this, and I'm just like, okay, what the hell, So I'm like, Penny, and she comes in and she looks at it. She goes, ah, and she's like jumping up and down because there it is. Like, there's a photo of it. And, and like, it's like literally like
so much fun, man.
Yeah. And I honestly, to be honest, like I feel like a little bit weird because I don't know, like this is Steven Greenstreet's thing right here. And like, I don't want to like co-opt somebody's thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I felt like a little bit like, well, no. And I'm not stealing a thunder because nobody gives a shit about me, but it's like, you know what I'm saying though? Like, you just like, are like, oh yeah, I saw it too. Like, you feel weird. So I
like those guys that take credit for Best Bin Bulletins post.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I go and I DM'd Steven, and I was just like, hey dude, like here's what happened. Like, I know this is like shit evidence. Like, I don't have any evidence, really, is what I meant to say. And I'm like, but I had this conversation with my daughter as we were looking at this thing, going to take the picture. It's gone. And I'm like, because I didn't get a picture. I didn't think about the time or anything like that. And but I took pictures at the park of my daughter playing around when she was playing on the equipment. And so I could like kind of say that this was about, I think like 11, I think I said 11:20 to 11:30. And so he writes back and he's like, oh, that's about 45 minutes before I saw it. And so, yeah, I mean, that's so definitely, it seems like it's possible. I meant to take a screenshot and I didn't look for it before. Okay, wait. Okay, so yeah, I did like a picture about where I was at, and somebody on Twitter, God, I am so sorry. I saved the picture, but not a screenshot. I messed up. I really wanted to give this person credit, but so I'm sorry. But I want to show it on the show anyway because I want to show it on the show. And but somebody went and they did an arrow where I was and where Greenstreet was, and it definitely, I think, somewhat makes sense. Here, let me drop the image into the browser here so you guys could see. Sorry for the delay here.
My uncle was an airline pilot for a number of years. He's retired like 20 years ago, but he would tell me, he's like, yeah, we always see, like, you ask any airline pilot, he'll tell you that we've seen things that we can't explain up in the sky. Yeah, so it's a fairly common thing.
Cut to the 70s when his uncle was taking shrooms and flying and seeing like magical wonder bears up in the air.
Yeah, right.
And they got rainbow snowball fights up there and shit.
I'm so mad at myself right now. I mean, no, like I said, though, I'm like so mad at myself because of all of the pictures of not stationary, but just flying balloons in the sky that I've taken over the last 2 years when I'm like, what is that? Let's see if it's one, oh no, it's just a balloon. or oh no, that was just a bird that's just like
to be
chilling.
fair, that pic is
hiding.
somewhat balloonish. It's just an interesting design. Like it's like,
and that's what I
either it's aliens
about.
or the nerdiest of nerds came up with that balloon.
Yeah, I have no stance. I honestly though, I said, like I have no stance. I like there was people in my Twitter conversations having fights about it being aliens or it not and what it means and stuff like that. And like I said, a little green dude didn't give me the finger or a high fives or say hello. It was just this thing in the sky. And then all of a sudden, then I see that Greenstreet post the photos of what I saw. And then I'm like, but for whatever reason, I thought he lived in New York. Maybe it's because of the paper or whatever. But I was just like, no, wait, he's in Laguna, like Niguel. And I'm like, that's not that far. Like I could like literally just drive there like about 30, 40 minutes. And so I'm like, well, maybe, I mean, if it was a balloon or something weird, it blew there and then stayed there. But when you look at his stuff, I'm going to go back to his stuff now because I just wanted to show where I was at near the freeway here, and then where he is at down here, and it's not like super close, but it's it's a 405 ride down to 5. It's not that far really, in the big picture of things, and over here is Disneyland. But I mean, it's like
honestly, my ride from my house to my high school when I was a kid was longer.
Really?
No. Yeah, I lived quite a ways away. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
Damn.
Yeah,
my dad did not want me going to the local hick school, so that's why I had to endure a nice 2-hour bus ride every day. One way.
Yeah, I mean, but
that is the nerdiest of balloons, if it is one. Like only Billy Meyer could conjure up stupid shit like that.
Yeah, it reminded me, like when I saw it, the first two things that came to mind was E.T. E.T.'s weird looking spaceship, which is funny, but also these really gaudy Christmas ornaments that my grandma had when I was a kid, and also you could see it in his picture. See, the sun was like directly pretty much over the freeway, over the 91 freeway as I was looking at it. And it was a little to the left of the sun from my vantage point. And it was moving away from me slightly. It looked like it was moving to the left and away. But then I couldn't see it. So if we pretend like it was a drone or an intelligently controlled craft from another dimension or whatever, I definitely feel like it went down to the coast of towards Long Beach and then maybe went down towards where he is in Laguna.
Kind of looks like a rectal probe. Is anybody walking funny today, or?
I don't know. I mean, if they wanted to party, I'm down to try anything once or twice.
James just silently probing to see who's into the probes.
Hey, just throw it out.
Yeah.
What was that? That was the one where the aliens called Riley, right? You've been due for a probing, Riley.
this video right here, I don't know if it's coming through very well over the stream, and if it's just pixelated to for whatever reason. But when this video first starts, that's when I was like, without a doubt, this is when I knew I needed to DM him, and I originally DM'd him just in case other people saw it too, like maybe we could trace its path. You know what I mean? And somewhat of a, if that happened, I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has seen this though.
How many crypto nerds, real crypto, not the monetary crypto, right? The cryptozoologists and UFOs. How many of these dudes work at Google and Apple, right? You would think there'd be at least one of them that would have a function on your phone that goes UFO mode, where you can just hit something and it tracks it and always stays in focus, right? Just in case. Call it UAP mode if you don't want to get all weirded out. But
Rob, we did a UFO show a few weeks ago about a very famous incident, and they censored it. they're never. They did.
Well, do you know that, James? They got us on YouTube over it. Yeah.
Shit. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, a historical story from the 60s we did it. We got fucking
yeah, we got contexted and everything. You can't search for it usually, as far as I know. It's
odd. That's very odd.
But when it gets to when it gets down to when it leaves Jason country and gets down to Greenstreet country, it's just chilling there. And that's what also is to me, from my personal side, like when I just saw the first part, I was just like, oh, totally like whatever. But then when he sees it roughly 45 minutes later, and it just stays in the one place, and there is wind. So if it's a balloon, it's like it's not doing anything. Is it a drone? I mean, it could be some kind of drone. But if I saw it, and if I saw the same thing, I mean, there's always a chance I didn't see the same thing.
Yeah.
There's always a chance I just saw some stupid balloon configuration that looked weird to me at the moment, and then he sees a drone. I'm not, I'm not adamant about anything. I don't know. Neither does anybody else. I don't think anybody
Welcome
knows.
to episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, where they just all stare up in the sky and see UFOs that even they can't fucking explain, right?
Right?
They're like, what is that? Oh my god! Aliens are real. And it's like us. Shit, it's weird.
Yeah. No. My and around my daughter, I like I said, I tried not to like lead her in any way or whatever. I was like, look, you know what I mean? And she saw it. And so her and I both agree that we saw what he has posted. And so it's like, it's one of those weird things where like, I had this like little impulse to go and profess to everyone that was weird, like it's this thing and like everything like that. But then I also know at the end of the day, if like you weren't there, it's not the same. It doesn't matter if you weren't there and you didn't see what we think we saw. You know what I mean?
Well, I told you, like, I had that sighting at the Dark Knight premiere in Irvine. I can name you the day, the rough time. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, Jane doesn't know the story, but like, so it was the Dark Knight premiere at the Irvine Spectrum, 2008, Saturday. Sitting out line waiting to get to the 8 o'clock showing, or thereabouts, whatever that main 8 o'clock showing was, and playing my Nintendo DS with my friends. Right, sitting on the ground, I got bored. I look up and I see this pin of light come straight down and then stop, split into two, and then go towards the ocean and zip away. And I even yelled out, "Whoa!" Like when it split into two and started moving. I was like, "What the fuck?" And everyone was like, "What?" They're looking behind them. I'm like, "No, up there!" Like, and it was gone, like before anyone could see. So, I'm sitting there the whole time watching The Dark Knight, trying not to think about the fucking UFO thing I saw, which is crazy because the movie's, it is great, but it was like so weird. And then I go, well, I'll listen to Coast to Coast to see if anyone else picked that one up, right? On the way back, we get out, turn on Coast to Coast, and Ian Punnett had Neil Adams on to talk about the Joker all night. So everyone was talking about the Dark Knight. There was I was like, well, if there was ever a day for UFOs to show up, it would be during the Dark Knight premiere when no one's looking up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you were supposed to call in, man. What are you doing? You dropped the ball, just like I dropped the ball. No, I like in my head, I'm like so mad at myself. Like, think about what a crazy person I would be if I did this. But it's like, I'm so mad in my head. I didn't just drop my thing and stick up my camera and start taking picture. Like, drop my drink, and all that. Because my big regret right now is I was like, hey, hold my drink to my kid. And she's like, okay. And it's like, that's lost time. And I didn't get the picture. But I mean, if ever I did that every time, I would be a crazy person, wouldn't I?
Not to be confused with missing time, folks. That's
but what's funny was when you told me about what you saw back at the Dark Knight, I was curious if it looked like that or if it was something different. It was a pin of light.
What was odd is the pin of light was coming horizontally down from, I could assume, space. Like this, It was a clear. If you remember, there was no fucking clouds up in the air. There was like this thin stratus-y cloud, but there was no like clouds. It was just clear, and so it was dusk, and so I wasn't saying nothing. It came down. It's when it stopped. I went, what? And then it splits into two, and that's when I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know of anything that stops in midair, splits into two, and then takes off in the other fucking direction. And if we have that, I'd love to hang. I'd like to.
So did you have a
going towards?
Did you have a feeling of like that was profound, and then talking yourself out of it by any chance?
No, because I've seen a lot of weird shit in my life. I just put it right in the fucking weird shit bucket.
It's right.
You know what I mean? Like,
shit.
I saw the Phoenix Lights live, so I'm like, yeah, it just goes right over there. You know?
Yeah.
So like,
oops, I didn't mean
to. That whole
link.
event.
Meg, I'm sending you a link. If you're busy, lady, I get it, but I'm sending you a link, and if you want to jump on, by all means, you are always invited, and you're invited today if you want to. So.
I feel like people are just so desensitized by this now. I remember, back when, the whole COVID pandemic was first breaking out, and we were, reviewing we had the murder hornets, we had the pandemic, we had, all these things. And I slept there, I'm like, yeah. And then, the Pentagon came out and said aliens are real. My friend was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, didn't you hear? Like, they released all this footage. It was like from the government. Like, yeah, we don't know what the shit is. And he was like, well, they just slid that in there, didn't they? I'm like, yeah, I mean, nobody even cared. It was just like, but I mean, you tell people like, yeah, like the government has footage of these craft. They don't know what they are. And people are like, oh, I mean, it's just this whole thing of like people like panicking, like, oh, if you came out and said aliens are real, it's gonna be like worlds again. I think right now people are just like, whatever.
Like, oh, no,
I recommend Jason showed me a podcast that's really good. It's was it Chad Leader or Loader? The blonde F6, he's a retired F-16 pilot who recently started a YouTube thing in the last year. Yeah, I got him up. What is his name? Is Chris Leto. L-E-A.
Chris Leto, yeah.
Chris Leto. Yeah, and he just recently did an interview with Nick Pope, who ran that UFO office in the 90s for the British government. Really sane conversation about UAPs, like it's a shame though, because Nick Pope has to bring up like some of the right wingers are trying to get the UFO bill passed, and he's like, thank goodness for these people, and you're like, fucking these people, like what's their grift, why do they want to know about UAPs? So they just want to blame China. What's their trick up their sleeve? But Chad, Chris Leto is pretty good, man. That guy is so like,
yeah,
he'll analyze.
He gets the ruler out and does the math and stuff, and I appreciate it. It's fun.
Yeah, because as an F-16 pilot, they'd have to identify shit in the air and be able to know distances towards objects. So he actually shows you the math for figuring out distance. I'm like, look at that. They didn't do that in Iron Eagle. They didn't do that in Iron Eagle 2 or 3 with the fucking weird planes at the Ren Fair, whatever the fuck that movie was.
They didn't do it in Flight of the Navigator either. Totally different movie.
Or in 4 when Doug Masters came back and he had COVID weight. Remember that? Doug Masters got Rob fat.
But here's the thing. Hey Johnny, like Johnny says, the right wing UAP grift is big with their voter base. And it is true, because I mean, you do have like that Joe Rogan side of things where, everything's deep state and all that kind of jazz. And it does like appeal to that kind of thing. But at the same time, the very nature of that conspiratorial side of things is used to, in a weird way, discredit exploration of the topic itself. And by the left.
Right. And
I don't like that either. I think that I think that people who dream really small, who fucking cares about them? You know what I mean? If that at the end of the day,
it's hard to hang your bias up when you're talking about like the Nazis want to find out what's going on with UFOs too. You're like, you motherfucker. Okay. It's so frustrating. They're just trying to get back to the moon with their dinosaurs. That's all they're trying to do. But
before somebody says this is Boba Fett territory, Boba Fett retweeted my thing and made a Star Trek joke about what it was.
Oh,
nice.
Daniel Logan retweeted and then and then I said as IGD, it's Grandpa.
Nice.
But yeah, so there we go. There's our Star Wars connection.
I really support him being on it. Why isn't he the flashback? If we could just see him in the Boba Fett armor, never taking the helmet off, maybe once or twice so we see his face. Give him some screen time, right?
Yeah.
But just going out there doing raid missions as younger Boba Fett, fucking whooping ass, like, and they could have just done the Tusken storyline as the real-time story, and then halfway through it catches up to where we left off at the end of season 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or young Fennec and young Boba were an item and it ended badly, and now we learned the backstory of them. It could have been fun.
He's like, he likes to fuck toaster parts. He doesn't want me for me. He just wants me for he calls me his Pop-Tart. I don't like it.
So, but by the way, I think it's fair to ask, James, have you ever seen a UFO?
I have not. Not that I'm aware of. I've seen some strange things, but nothing that I would be willing to chalk up to a UAP kind of thing. No.
Did it involve? Were you in the war? It was in another country, and there was ping pong balls. No, I'm kidding.
Well, Ralph McCoy and I were in a bunker in the Korean War. And
yeah.
But I can't talk about it.
It got real cold that winter, didn't it? Didn't it, James?
I mean, I used to teach astronomy up at an observatory, local observatory here, and would be up in the deck looking at the stars all the time, using the telescopes to check shit out. And no, I never saw anything quite that spectacular that I could share. Unfortunately, would love to, but nothing. I think they avoid Chicago, and they're probably smart to do it. So
No, that's not true. Remember the Chicago O'Hare?
Oh yeah, that's right. There was one over O'Hare. Well, shit,
they're parked right on the airport.
Bow down, slaves! Max is here.
That's the one time I think if the military had a UFO, it made an emergency landing at Chicago O'Hare, and they just won't admit it. Sorry, go ahead, Max.
Say hi to Max. Say hi to Max. Come on.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Hey Max.
Hey, Max.
Sorry guys, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, gotta say hi to Max.
Sorry guys.
Max, you ever seen a UFO?
I thought I did, but I think unfortunately it might have been a helicopter.
Yeah.
Was it one of
The
those
reason I
really
say that
lame
is because-
60s helicopters? The
No,
little
it was
bubble one
actually-
with the really thin tail?
Did you hear the
No, it was a
MASH theme
light-
song while it flew by?
Yes. Yep. I did.
The suicide lyrics or just the instrumental version from the TV show?
The instrumental version.
No, sorry. Go on, Max. No, what happened?
I was outside and I saw a light that was just steady. It wasn't moving, and I went and got my roommate to come and check it out, and so we were kind of both like, he's like, no, that's not a UFO. And then I saw another time something similar, and then I realized that it was a helicopter. So that bummed me out. But I'm always keeping my eyes in the sky for various reasons.
That's why I keep walking into hydrants. That's how I feel.
Well, no, I mean, I can't lie. Since I think like between the pandemic and I won't call what we've got disclosure, but when we've got like, we've seen Tic Tacs, we don't know what they are kind of jazz. I've been like, okay, I was like, finally, maybe we're going to get someplace, because I just felt like it was such a stalemate for years. Like they're going to discredit you if it's real, and they're going to say it didn't happen. And then if it is happening, there's so many crazy people, you just can't make anything, you can't make sense out of anything. It's just like, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And but since they were kind of like a little bit, there were more leaks and things that made it seem like, maybe they were going to get someplace. I got way more interested in it. And I'm looking at it all the time. Like when I go to read a book, I go outside and I look. So I feel like in a weird way, I'm like, I think I'm going to see it. I think I'm going to find them because I'm looking for them.
Yeah.
As opposed to not. And it's a good excuse to not be on my phone, because I hate my phone. I hate Twitter.
People think that
Facebook.
might be a little. They might frown upon it, Jason, but every time I think I might find money on the ground, eventually I do.
It's true.
Like eventually, I found $100 on the ground just because I look at the ground. Everyone looks at the sky, but you want to know where money is? Lying on the ground, and that's how I found at least $100 once. It was around nowhere, so it's mine.
The best Clone Wars fortune cookie of all time is I think it's if you look for trouble, you'll find it. And but I don't think that only applies to trouble. I think it applies to most anything.
It does. It does. I found $100 bill in San Francisco.
Yeah.
No, if it were at a CVS, Max, we're obligated to turn it into lost and found, right?
Seriously.
But if it's at a Mira Mesa business park, that shit's mine. Fuck them, right?
I found it. It's going in my purse.
So, Jason, what do you think? Like the first legit UFO report came up. Like what's because obviously you study this way more than I do. What's like the earliest report that you see of like something that like is actually credible on this?
Dude, they're like that's a hard question, because I've dabbled my toes sort of in the academia of it, if you will, but I'm also like not like ready to go teach a course. And so it's like if you go and you read, if you read like Jacques Vallée, he starts just naming out all of these instances of like holy moments where people see this thing and it's like clearly like that could be a UFO and they're interpreting it as that, but like hundreds of people saw it or thousands of people in certain instances, and like that's where I'm like, you go like, well, what was it, and then also was it a meteor and everybody looked up, or a comet or whatever, it was like, whoa,
Right.
like who knows, I have no idea.
They ate shrooms in the forest and
yeah. But the
love in there.
What's that, Max?
What about the old paintings? The old paintings that have, I mean,
the one I don't understand.
Yeah,
I'm mixed
the
on
one
that.
I don't understand.
Yeah, go ahead, Red.
So the one I don't understand with that they're historically there for forever and ever is why was there not I can't find any real reports of UFOs during World War One. You know what I mean? Like we were up in the sky flying around biplanes. Like we had blimp warfare, all the blitzkrieg. You think the UFOs, even if they were time travelers, would have been pretty interested in watching the first real crazy fucking wars, mechanized. I mean, those wars were insane. I mean, the whole air was on, the amount of shells that they'd fire was disgustingly, it was brutal. So I'm just like, why nothing there?
I don't, number one, I don't know if there's nothing there. Honestly, I just don't know. So maybe there is, but I think that the general answer to that would be that people usually go to would be atomic testing is the game changer in all of this and the pursuit of atomic energy and stuff like that. And so that and when we look at where the reports do pop up, they're around, sites with things like that and military bases where things like that are found. Yeah. And so that could be the answer to it. But, I mean, because like there was like I oftentimes see like a last podcast on the left did a really good episode about, the airships, and you'll hear that like airships in the 1800s and stuff like that. All of those are totally fake. They were made up by a society of pranksters. It was called the Liars Club, I think. The Liars Club made up the airship stories and totally fabricated it. There's no truth to those. And I always see them popping up on like, I love to read our UFOs on Reddit. It's one of the Reddit forums I enjoy. And you'll see it pop up there every now and then and everything. I'm just like, do I want to be the guy just to go stop? But I just don't. I don't engage.
I got to wonder, I mean, if they've been coming here for decades and all these sightings, especially because there are some that are very legit, in terms of the reporting and stuff. It's like, why? I mean, that would be like finding a tourist in North Dakota. I'm like, it would be like, of all the places you came here? What are you doing? And you keep coming back after decades? Didn't you see enough already? I mean, I don't know. That's what crazy. It seems crazy to me. Is like why is this place so special? Why do you keep coming here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like I do think that there's something to the Jacques Vallée thesis of that they're a control system, and like the idea behind that, I believe he uses a thermostat as an example. When it gets too hot, turns on. When it gets too cold, it turns on. And he doesn't know what it means. I think he goes on to say if they are just nuts and bolts spacemen from another planet who are coming here to look at us, that's going to be really boring of an answer compared to like what I've been studying for the last whatever amount of years. And so when you look at tips, I mean, and I know some people go both ways about Elizondo. I tend to go, Elizondo's past isn't my favorite thing. Like, somebody who was in intelligence and worked for the man isn't necessarily who you want. But at the same time, who else was going to do it? It was going to, that's really like the people that are involved there. Makes me go, well, it does make sense though, that they would be the type of defector to go into, to lead us into this new place. But anyways, where I'm taking this is, I do kind of think that there may be something to the control system, and I think that that's a controversial concept in the sense that when you hear people like Tom DeLonge who are like, oh, they they're angels and demons and they want to see us fight. And you got people in the government who are like, they're demons. You don't fuck with demons, who believe that. But that all interfaces into the control system concept. And what does it mean? That's the bajillion-dollar question. Because if you take the nuts and bolts approach, number one, they could have genetically modified us from chimps or whatever, apes, whatever. They might be responsible for that, or they might just be watching us to make sure that when we get to the point where we are cracking quantum physics and we do start to be able to look around the galaxy and see what's going on, you might want to keep your tabs on us and make sure that we're not going to come there. Because our first contact stories aren't that great. I mean, we even have that stuff going on today where people are trying to go and bring religion to these untouched tribes in the middle of nowhere, and they're getting them sick, and they're also getting killed because they're killing them instead of letting them come. But it's such a big idea and a big topic, and there's so many. Like, the problem is that people get their pet ideas and their pet preferences, and that's personally why I like the Jacques Vallée working model. Is I feel like it works if you're to some degree a nuts and bolts guy, but it also works if you're you think they're demons in the sky.
Yeah. Well, and as weird as some of the stuff that they propose is, I mean, I always tell people, you listen to the theories of they thought that the Earth was on the back of a turtle swimming down a river, and we can laugh at that now, but the real answer, shh,
imagine how it would smell.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You ever smelled the turtle?
That we're all on a giant ball that's hurtling through space at ridiculous speeds is not much less ridiculous than thinking that we're on the back of a turtle. The real answer is also insanely ridiculous. So if you told someone, "Oh no, that's not true. We're on a giant ball and it's hurling through space at massive speeds," you'd be like, "Well, that sounds ridiculous too." So yeah, I mean that's where I kind of say, well, even as stupid as some of these things actually sound, might not be that far off.
Yeah. I mean, go on, Max.
I was just gonna say I like Rob's mask.
Safety,
which actually is going. Go ahead and finish what you're saying. I have a question that I want to ask you guys. It's not Star Wars related, but it's kind of picking at my brain. I want to see what you guys would do. Okay, say that you're at a grocery store or convenience store.
Okay.
And the cashier is going to bag something for you and does this. And grabs the bag to open it, put your stuff in. What would you say?
Are they hot?
No.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. What would you do?
I would honor bag? No, I'm full on Larry David. I go, dude, what are you doing? You can't touch your mouth right now. And I would probably try to be nice. I'd be like, you can't do that to yourself. You get yourself sick. Yeah.
So
I've almost gotten into several fights throughout
right in my mask,
of course, of the pandemic because that just happened. It just happened.
And I asked her, I said, may I have another bag? No, I said, oh, I don't need a bag. She's like, no, I can't let you walk out without a bag. I'll get you a bag. I said, well, then just give me another bag. She's like, I got one right here. And I said, no, I didn't want to call her out on it. And then
you should have called her out on it. I get
like, why? And I said, she says, why? And I said, you licked your fingers and opened the bag. And she got pissed off, and then she told the manager, she's like, take care of her. And so he checked me out, and he's like, what are we doing? I said, you're checking me out. And he says, what happened? And I said, and I told him. And she was so pissed off. And I said, look, I'm not being a bitch. I'm just saying that that's gross. And she's like, yes, you are. She said that. Yes, you are.
It's gross. It's gross, even if it's not a pandemic. Even during the pandemic, you don't lick your fingers.
Yeah. And she kept talking. I said, girl, shut up. And I walked out.
Yeah.
And to make
imagine if it were a straw at McDonald's. Like, you get a straw and they go, lick. ego. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm throwing away that piece of paper. I don't want to touch it.
It's fucking gross.
You know,
Yeah.
I can't
gross,
say anything.
so-
I'm drinking from this, and I don't know how many people have manhandled this can before it reached my lips.
You don't wipe the
with
top.
the shelves or whatever. So
I
I don't want to know.
no,
You just hair lint.
Yeah,
I worked at a store where I would unload pallets of food. And when I would take like a big, like let's say soup cans or tuna cans or something like that off, and they're wrapped in plastic, when that plastic goes over, roaches get stuck onto it and they die. And a lot of the times when I have like an X-Acto knife or a razor blade to like cut open the plastic and take those out, I would find dead roaches. To this day, whenever I open a can, I wash that can top in the sink before I drink at it, or before I eat. Like the idea of opening the soup can and then the can lid falling in and there just being like roach residue on there. Oh no, that's not happening in my house. So
imagine if the Book of Boba Fett was an amazing show, we'd all be talking about that right now. Here we are.
Yeah, well,
Here we are.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, what we do the show every day. Tomorrow, it's always tomorrow. But yeah, no. I mean, but even if it wasn't a pandemic, Max, that would still be gross. You still don't lick your fingers.
I always thought it was. I always
you
thought
don't.
It was gross.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the kind of person who probably would lick the onion dip to see if she likes it before she puts dip in it, you know, or something like that. Like you don't do that.
To make it worse, I think she was one of my passengers at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm making note to not pick them up, pick anyone up at that.
I mean, what is this? Like the 1920s? Like, yeah, here we go. We got some money here. Like, who does that these days? I haven't. That's
we got the robber barons, we got the pandemic. Yeah, it's the 1920s.
Yeah,
wealth inequality, racism on the rise, Nazis in Madison Square Garden. Sure.
And this is definitely an instance where my niceness comes in. I don't want to embarrass her, but because she kept pressing and pressing, then it just fucking said it. I was like, "Girl, you just licked your finger to open the bag."
Yeah.
I'm just asking for another bag. That's all.
Right.
See, they just opened a Amazon Fresh Market down the block from me a few months ago, and it's like the greatest thing ever because you walk in, you scan your phone, you bag all your groceries as you're shopping, and you walk the fuck out, and no one touches your shit. It's great. Yeah. It's the ultimate inconvenience. I don't have to worry about anybody touching my crap. So,
in Turkey, you bag your own stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Well, it's funny. I dated. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I remember the first time I went, I purchased my stuff, and she just stood there looking at me, and then they motioned for me to bag. I was like, oh, sorry.
Like, get out of here. Go.
Yeah, I dated a girl from she moved over from Ukraine, and she said the first time, because her English wasn't very good when she first moved here, she was freaked out at the grocery store because she thought someone was stealing her groceries. This person is putting her groceries in a bag. She's like trying to express like, somebody help me. This person is trying to steal my stuff. And then they're like, here you go. Have a nice day. And she was like, oh, well, I guess that's an American thing. They just
see
shit for you.
That proves we're not ready for extraterrestrial life. We can't even deal with people on other continents. We're like, what? You're trying to steal my stuff? Yeah, it is like a really weird kind of situation though that we're in terms of the like UAP concept, the UFO concept, and all that kind of stuff. Like actually, I hadn't even thought of this for like a long time, but when I was a kid, this is before this stuff was super popular. My dad saw a triangle in Long Beach, like in the 70s. Yeah. And I asked him later on, like, were you on any fun drugs, Dad? It was the 70s. He's like, not that night. And then, so, you know what I mean? Because where we're at here, we're near like the coast of Long Beach. And there's actually been interesting videos and stuff that have come out from the water over here from the Long Beach area. But whenever you talk about it, like we have like a whole generations full of washing away like 70 years of discrediting and making people seem kooky. Of this, I mean, I like, I'm not a big X-Files fan or anything like that, but like, and the X-Files, for as many cool people as it brought in to the UFO thing, it also, like, those UFO guys, kind of, you know, well, I don't remember what they were called now, but they like that, those stigmas were just like continually pushed. Like, now you're that guy. Now you're like that kind of weirdo and stuff like that.
I would love to see something like that.
Yeah.
A UFO. Like a legit UFO, like an alien spacecraft. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, who wouldn't, right? I mean, when you get down to it, I mean, like, unless it, I mean, like, there was a little bit of talk of like, does it, you know, people can't handle it and shit like that. Honestly, our society is so narcissistic. Unless they land out and say that they're taking your guns, nobody's gonna give a shit. Like when the videos came out that were, you know, the gimbal and the go fast and all that jazz. Like, to me, that was huge. And when they were confirmed to be real, I'm like, did you see it? Did you guys know that they're like admitting it, that stuff's real? And we're just like, back to the phone.
Now, if those UFOs start dropping or teaching critical race theory, I guarantee you, we're gonna care really fucking quick, bro.
It's funny because I come out of American studies. I am familiar with it. Try and teach critical race theory to a 6-year-old. Just fucking try. It ain't gonna work.
We can't even teach them to not lick the bags, Jason.
Dude,
you know what I mean? I'm trying to teach people to not lick the bags.
I couldn't teach it to undergrads. Okay? Undergrads can't get it, let alone your dumb fucking high schoolers. But anyways, sorry, I'm getting passionate about nothing.
You know, yeah, I mean, this is like that time you tried to teach me ancient Rome wasn't real. Yeah.
See, the thing is like he says, the general population can't handle complicated information. So maybe it's better to wait to reveal anything substantial, in my opinion. But
every one of them knows how to make a better Star Wars movie, Jason. Isn't that amazing?
I completely could not disagree more on that fact. Because see, the thing is that when you get down to it, as we're seeing, there's reality, and then there's our negotiated reality, the things that we all agree on. I mean, the Nazis didn't think that they were bad, did they? They all agreed that they were good. They agreed on a false reality, but to them, it was definitely a reality for a time. Well, when we get into how do we make sense of the universe, our place in it, when we try to make sense of religion, what should we be doing, our concerns, all that kind of stuff. Well, if we deny that something that if the man knows it's real, has evidence, if Roswell happened, all of this stuff, if the general UFO lore is kind of on for the last 75 years, we need to know that, because it's how do we make sense of our world? I mean, it's super important in that way. And if we are simply a test, if it's a game, if we are genetically modified guinea pigs just to be played with, and then that they're gonna wipe us out, let's get on that, because we got to start figuring out. We got to get our best minds on not letting that happen. But also, I don't believe that's the case, for the record. I just think that they would have probably wiped us out a long time ago. We haven't changed that much. Well, I guess we've had technological advances very, very recently that, you know, are going to change. And my personal take is, if they are watching us in that way, the singularity, I'm a futurist. I believe the singularity will be a thing in the 2040s era when computing processing speed hits that moment. And I think that's when we start to get into places where we can really fuck with quantum physics in ways that we haven't before. And that's when I think
the PlayStation's going to be awesome. You know,
yeah, you still won't be able to get one.
We're talking about full DLSS, right? We're talking about the craziest cartoon shit. Miles Morales never going to look better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I don't understand like this whole panic, because even Stephen Hawking was said that, you know, maybe it's not a good idea to be broadcasting where we're at, and because you don't know who's, you know, going to be listening on the other end when we send the invitation. But I can't imagine a starfaring society that would not have advanced to the level of being able to. I mean, if you could manipulate on a molecular level things where you could just create shit out of thin air like they do on the replicators in Star Trek, they don't need our shit. They could just make their own. They could just.
James.
I mean, it's so like
James,
our technology.
James, it's called the wills. James.
Exactly.
I've already wrote about this.
Oh, George Lucas is here.
Iger. Yeah,
oh, hi,
Iger
George.
Did not want. Well, it's called the wills. I put that in there, and I don't feel that the public was ready. Star Wars fans, they sure as shit weren't ready for that.
No, can I get a little
you get the Vespa mods.
No, I do get really bummed out. Like this is maybe the hippy dippy part of me, but there's a ton of ugliness in humanity, and that's what we always talk about. Oh, well, they would just wipe us out. We suck. What do they want to do with us? We're just ants to them. But there's a lot of beauty in humanity too. And I got to think that a civilization that has reached that level must have some kind of, either they're completely in a hive mind society of just strange weirdness, or they may have an appreciation of beauty and some kind of poetry to things. It all rhymes, like George Lucas says, and maybe we are beautiful to them in all of our ugliness. Maybe.
Aliens like to wear cowboy hats too. Aliens wear cowboy hats too, Jason.
I think they would have a higher level of consciousness where they wouldn't, like want to destroy or do anything harmful to us. That's my thinking.
Yeah, no, it's the same. I mean, because there is always that thing of, if they wanted to, they could have done it by now. They could have just done it. If they wanted to, they would have done it by now. Or if there is something like nefarious underlying, I mean, and there very well may be something that seems nefarious that's for our betterment in the end too. Well, I mean, we don't know. I'm not a huge fan of thinking of these people as intergalactic daddies that are here to like guide us and save us from ourselves and that kind of shit. Because as me and Rob have talked about several times, where were they when the levees broke at Katrina? Where were they on 9/11? Where were they during the pandemic? Where were they? They're not, as far as we know, they're not really doing shit for us on any of those fronts. So they do seem to be leaving us to our own devices for better or worse.
I would totally agree with that. That they're like staying out of our business. Like, you do really well and you can also fuck up. So, and it's I think that in any case, when they're ready to reveal themselves, I do believe that there's other intelligence.
They weren't at Katrina.
Oh my God.
Huh? They weren't at Occupy Wall Street. They weren't at all these big events, but they were at the premiere of The Dark Knight. I just want to say,
they sound rad. They sound rad. How about you put it that way?
I can confirm, but in their defense, the Irvine Spectrum screen is the largest screen on the Western.
It was the best IMAX screen at the time. At the time, that was pretty much one of the only really good ones, and it was the only place you could see Attack of the Clones in digital. I believe I saw Attack of the Clones digital there.
No. Attack of the Clones digital was at that airport. It's one near the airport. It was a digital screen it's a Lomax. It was one with the first reserved IMAX screens. That was at that little mini airport when you take the back way into the LAX airport area. Like it's back that way. Jason, I have the ticket receipts.
Me too.
It wasn't the Irvine Spectrum.
You want to do this, bro?
The Irvine Spectrum is film. It's not a digital. It's not a digital projection. It's still film. Yeah,
there was they had a digital. I didn't go to LA to see it. I definitely saw it in Orange County, but I think you're right in that it opened up in LA first.
That was the only place it was the weekend it opened, because I had to get tickets and drive specifically to that weird theater. Right, it's right off the freeway. It's on the left hand side. It's that one that's right there on the freeway in the back way in. I know all that stupid shit.
I didn't rush out.
I hate maps. And anything. I know visuals. You see, I draw. Look at what I do. I spend my time making Bundy backgrounds. You know what I mean? I'm not a. But I have a photographic memory for places. And I remember though it was difficult when like Titanic hit 3D, because the only place that was playing it was the Irvine Spectrum, because they weren't showing in digital. Like it was really weird. Like the Irvine Spectrum So that main IMAX theater, I don't know now, but as of 2015, it was still a film projector. Like they had to have this conversion in there. They could download it, but it wasn't a digital. It was like the old projection system. So because of the size of the screen, it's not like laser or anything. So it even has a different look to it. But it's fucking 3 stories tall. It's super awesome. But they were there. The UFOs were there. You know, not at Occupy Wall Street. You know, sure weren't there.
That you know.
Yeah. Cassian Hassan says, I loved X-Files. And don't forget, in the first season, you had Briscoe County Jr. on it. I remember Briscoe County Jr. and remember Mantis? There was a show called Mantis for a while. That was on that channel. It's funny. I have a friend of mine who I love this guy. But he was all, yeah, of course, Jason's into UFOs because he likes Star Wars. And it's like kind of funny to me because we do the UFOs on the Star Wars show. But to me, they actually could be further apart from like what they are.
But
like,
Jason,
like,
Mantis was, hold on. You brought up Mantis. Mantis was created by Sam Hamm and Sam Raimi. Mm-hmm. You know, Sam Hamm wrote the screenplay for Batman 89, right? That's Sam Hamm, Sam Raimi. But the lead actor was Carl Lumbly, who played on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is Noah Bradley, right? The badass Captain America from the Kyle Baker miniseries. If you haven't seen it, go read it. Kyle Baker was it the Noah Bradley series. What was it called? Forget the name of it. It's fucking amazing artwork though. About the time they experimented on black soldiers to recreate the super soldier serum.
Do you guys really trust the majority of the American population with the revelation that aliens are visiting our planet 100%? It would be a disaster. Wait for a higher percent of post-secondary education.
Canadians.
What
the American population with a flat Earth? You know, it's round or flat. We don't know here.
Well, what if the very concept? I mean, like I'm not into the idea that we start to look at the potential of extraterrestrial life as an evil thing to fight. But do I like the concept of that fueling the military-industrial complex if we have to have it in the way that we do, as opposed to using it to, like, you know, blow up kids in Iraq and Afghanistan? Yeah, sure. Let's make up it's the lizard people from Alex Jones. Yeah, let's concentrate on making lizard sites that work really well against lizards. Whatever. Like if it goes that way, but what if at the same time we do have? What if there is the aha moment? What if there is the Phoenix Lights and everybody has cell phones and something bigger than that even, and it's captured and we literally know it's just undeniable. It cannot.
Well, that'll be infrastructure week, so they'll just talk about the Build Back Better Again plan that they won't fucking ever pass. You know, they'll somehow Bernie Sanders will take a fart somewhere and they'll fucking be nonstop running about the Bernie Sanders fart gate. You know, for the better part of 2 fucking weeks until they drown out that conversation.
But is there you know, like I said, I didn't really like the idea of looking at them as space daddies. But is there a chance that if the world did have to come to that very probable conclusion, that does that make us maybe be a little cooler? Do we start not wanting? Does racism seem even stupider than it already should? By the fact that there's more things out there that aren't even human. At that point, you're like, oh, you know, I'm a human supremacist, and you know, I mean, at that point, it kind of, I hate all that stuff, but at the same time, if our energies were put there, I would at least prefer the betterment of humanity.
The Nazis quote Martin Luther King Jr. to promote their Nazi beliefs. What are you talking about? Like, they'll just use whatever they can to move their grift along. You know, like they have no plan. It's just, I told you, I have this personal belief when it comes to the crazies that it has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the caste system. So they sort of see you in a lower caste. It doesn't matter what you say, whether it's right or wrong. You don't have the right to even talk to them, to enter their sphere of influence on any level. So like once you frame all of this from that standpoint, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, but it doesn't even matter what their own group thinks, because with their own group, they have different caste systems. It's like in the military, when they ever ask you a question and you give an answer, they immediately look to your rank to see if you're worthy of answering that fucking question. As if 2 + 2 = 4 matters whether I'm an E1 or a fucking full-blown colonel, you know? Like, the answer's still, but they'll look at you, I don't know about that. Like, all right.
Rob,
all right,
I've seen that in UFO writing. Well, they're like, oh, and he was a whatever rank. So, and I'm just like, what the fuck do I care if he's an insane person? He could be the fucking president. That's happened. So it doesn't really matter to me what their rank is. But you will see that like appeal to authority kind of idea behind it.
Well, Nick Pope does it when he brings up, he tried to like defend. He goes, well, I'm not talking about like lower ranks aren't credible, but like when people have real careers, basically, you know. Like, do you know how much shit you get when you're in the lower ranks? You tend to not want any shit from anybody. You want the least amount of shit because you just want to get back to your life. You don't want to get, you don't want people paying attention.
Nick Pope is just British. What does he expect?
Well, plus he was out there.
I like him though.
You know what?
Yeah,
I know I like him, but it is funny when I'm like, but there is just there always is but we have a caste system and we have a class system in the military, you know?
Oh, no, that's
a class system.
Yeah, no, we have a class system in the old United States, and but we like to pretend like we don't, but we completely do.
If you're a fan of the Stern Show, I do recommend Robin Quiver's book that she wrote back in the late 90s when she talks about her time in the Air Force, and she didn't realize when enlisted people would like basically treat her like she was royalty, you know, because she was an officer. And she's like, I just smoked weed every day in my job. And these people, like, and I'm in the Army when I'm reading this. I'm like, I fucking hate my life. Why did I get enlisted? You know, why did I do this? It's stupid.
Whatever. Yeah. That's. But and then to go back to like Johnny's kind of like comments a little bit too, because I think there's like a lot there. I think what he's hitting on is, I think there's like a lot there. Is that the idea that thousands of people throughout history now or time or whatever, not to be the bad essay writer, throughout time, throughout the ages, but people fucking see shit. They keep seeing shit. And it's like, and a lot of it can be explained away, but like a lot of it can't. And and there's just so many amazing instances of it where you're just like, what the fuck? Like our friend of ours is he was like in the comments on Twitter when I talked about the story, and he's like posting these like various drones that it could be and stuff like that. And like, I completely respect that perspective and that point of view. But I will say, I don't think it was. I don't think what I saw was a drone. And when I look at the amount of time, because I mean it was obviously already in the sky before I saw it. And then if I did do the same thing as Greenstreet, like how long do you guys expect a drone to fly for? And then it gets down. But why also would it like I don't know? Is it realistic that a drone would be near me? Like, what would they be doing? Like driving a car and flying the drone down the freeway? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but it's like there's more going. Not saying against it being that, but like that's
look at here. It's part of a deep space lizard conspiracy to they're studying all the farts. The emissions from the methane gases from the farts is actually causing global warming. It's our own asses did it to us. I hate to break it to you, but it's true. The documents are out there. Yeah.
Remember Diana and V though?
If
Diana and V was a lizard under there, I'd still totally go out with their human skin on. Diana was fine. Yeah.
V was a deep state operation to sell Thriller jackets.
Stupid. Mission accomplished.
Totally worked. Bought 3 of them myself. You know, I'd like to buy a yellow and red one, yellow and black one to look like Cobra Kai, but they don't make them anymore. Right?
I'm surprised nobody's tried to say that Eddie Murphy from the Raw era when he was wearing that like red leather jumpsuit kind of thing. That was a total V outfit. He could be a lizard person. Just gonna throw that out there.
Was Eddie Murphy Raw before V? I'm trying to remember. V was 82, right?
That was
because I know it was 82,
82 and 84.
Because my
right?
parents, I told you, my parents, I when they tore the lizard face off, I was watching it by myself. I went to go tell my parents, walked in, and they were making my brother. Like, oh, so I got the nice twofer, right? I got the baby. Yeah. And 9 months later, we got my brother. So like, I did the math. It was great. Fucking yeah. But Raw was after that, right?
I just had this like really weird brain firing of, I remember sitting down watching V when it came on. And I believe like one of the times I watched it anyways, maybe it was the first time, but a commercial came on and it was like, this is not for kids. This is like serious stuff, kind of like commercial. And it showed like the bomb going off. It was like like Russia was nuking us. And but it would show people's skeletons. Like when they like the nuke happened, and then you would see like the skeletons like in the skeleton shape, like was like a visual effect of us getting nuked. God, I gotta find that. That was ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna find
Raw
that.
was in 87. Sorry.
Raw was 87. Okay.
Yeah.
He had a few stand-ups though around that or in that era, right?
Mm-hmm. He's really
Eddie Murphy did. Yeah.
Oh, he had Delirious, where he talked about the deep space conspiracy for the honeymooners to have. I'm not even getting into that bit, but if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Raw was 87.
God, it seems late.
It does, right?
It does. Well, because he was so big.
That doesn't seem right. That doesn't sound right.
I thought it was like mid. Like a little.
No, Delirious was the early one, though, is what it was.
Okay.
That's where we're probably remembering Delirious.
Okay.
One he's wearing red, one he's wearing purple. Both costumes are ridiculous. I remember that much that he's wearing.
One he's awesome. He's Mace Windu. The other one he's I don't know, fucking
Darth Maul.
Darth is he? The Darth Maul didn't wear red. He wore black. It'd be cool if it was
but
inverted,
red
like
and
if you wore a
black,
red robe. That would have been cool. Red with the but then he would be Crimson Dawn. Crimson, and then he ran. Didn't he run Crimson Dawn? And didn't he run Mandalore? Hey, how did Maul run everything? By the way, so Maul ran Mandalore. Am I right about that? That's why she got the horns on her helmet
for a time.
And Maul ran Crimson Dawn.
He was more like
deep state.
He was more like the overlord of.
He was a real boss bitch when he was running Mandalore.
Running out of ideas there, are we? It's that guy. That guy's behind it all. When he dies on Tatooine, it all comes back to Tatooine. Yeah. You think when Tatooine turns to like water, Maul's skeleton will wash up on shore and shit? Like oh,
it gets nuked. It's like it comes back to life. It's like I'm the skeleton Maul. You know. Yeah. If there's one little bit of Star Wars stuff we could hit on here, an hour and 8 minutes into this. I'm not even going to pull it up because it's like so what kind of. But there was they released the concept art from the last episode of The Mandalorian, and in the very corner of one of them, you can see the concept art for that space wheel looking environment. You can see what appears to be the Sith infiltrator, Darth Maul's ship, flying in the concept painting. And of course, Maul is dead at this time, and but Kira became his underling, and so that would imply Kira, if she's in the series, would be flying that ship. I don't know.
You think if she's using the dark side, she can be that Sith witch and she fights Rey one day?
I don't know.
No.
James, it's always a no. Always what can't be done with James. You know what I mean? Never can happen. You gotta think like an LA storyboard guy who doesn't care about realism or continuity. Just going for the big marquee value here, buddy. All right? Game of Thrones.
This is why someone needs to hire me. I hate being right all the time, People would just listen to me from the jump. We wouldn't get this shit.
I personally take a little bit of a that was just a Bob Ross moment. They're like, I'm putting a little Sith infiltrator here because I'm wanting to, because you're wanting to vote.
A Boba Ross, right? Boba Ross moment.
In this season, they in this season of Book of Boba Fett, they are streamlining Phantom Menace design aesthetic with original trilogy design aesthetic. I mean, it's undeniable. It's what they've done in all of these ways from Attack of the Clones on. I think they figured we're going to bring Boba in, and that's where he's from, essentially, in terms of the story, in terms of internal lore. He's from Attack of the Clones from the start. We're going to be referencing that. And so I could just see them kind of like drawing that, like when I got the first batch of Episode 7 concept art, and Kylo Ren wasn't designed yet. In every single painting, they drew Darth Vader. And because if Darth Vader fit in those paintings, you sure as hell know Kylo Ren is going to when he's designed. And so that was their approach. That was their methodology. So I see it personally as probably just being a methodology that they're using in the design flow. And I figured Rob may have something to say about that, or maybe not.
About just dropping in characters?
No, about characters? the concept artist, and when if a concept art if Robert Rodriguez was like, "Hey baby, what are you drawing? Give me a Sith infiltrator in that bitch later," and hung up, like that would be okay. There we go. We have very clear intent. But if you just have the artist just kind of like, why would an artist put a Sith infiltrator there?
Well, yeah. So I'll give you a better example, and this actually is in the end credits concept art, and it's the concept art with the child on the space bus, right? It was like a little human boy, and then in the actual show, it's a female Rhodian, right? So like the little boy thing is to show that it's a child. You're just doing a generic child. Maybe you draw your kid or something. You just put that in there because that's the placeholder for the character, right? And then it goes through, hey, what if it was? Hey, what if it was? And then, oh, that'd be great. And then the director maybe has I think this, or maybe that. Someone else has an opinion about what that child could be, but it's still a child, right? So to put a specific ship in, though, it could have been any ship. It could have been like a red weird thing where they kit bashed a couple ships together. You know what I mean? Like to make some kind of temp thing. But when you put a specific ship in, my guess would be is that there's some little hidden code behind it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because they have to track this stuff across all the boards, you know? It's one thing when it's you and an art director, but when you got a whole group of people, they have to go from department to department to department. And they have to know what they're looking at and what that thing means across a production. So, yeah. So if the temp for the bad guy for Kylo Ren is Vader all the time, and so when you see that, you just know who we're talking about. So whatever that Sith infiltrator represents wherever it would reappear in any other board. It's not just a rando thing. You would make up a rando thing that kind of looks like if you were trying to put your own wish fulfillment stuff into a design, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that was my reading of it too. And my other reading of it is the fact that they show us concept art of things that were in the episode. And so it's like, you know what I mean? So you almost have to take like another leap to make it work, where you're like, oh, because they were drawing it in all the concept art because maybe it was going to be in all of this stuff, and they just shifted things around. So you said you have to jump through too many hoops for Occam's razor, I think, to work on it. Right.
Yeah. And I don't recall seeing that in the, because I've seen, I know the artwork you're talking about from Ryan Church, and I don't remember seeing the Sith infiltrator. Is it a ship that looks like it?
You could see it. It's on the very right, and you could see like the little tie section of it, and the like little nose cone area. Yeah, if any of you guys have it right now, then I'll throw it. You could share it, and throw it up if you want. I'll put it.
Well, I was doing development once I was doing development on a game once that had never been announced, and it dealt with well-known properties, and so there are times when I was like, oh, I would like to see, you in early development, you will put in things that you'd like to see in there, right? Like if this were like a Star Wars fighting game, I would sneak in something that would be cool in early development, but this is key production art. It's not early development sketches. So when it goes through key production art, everything that's in that piece has to sort of, they get sent over to, modeling and lighting for the actual production. Like it sits there as the piece that represents the tone and the final vision for what they're trying to do. Everything is fairly intentional. The only other time to sneak in Easter eggs would be in the final rendering. Somewhere in the background, you're hiding like a blurred out Star Trek ship or some shit like that. But
well, that is the other part that I want to address here, is that when I compare my concept art, the stuff that was leaked to me throughout the various films over the years, and what the general audience sees in the book, they're not the same thing.
Yeah, this is never concept. This is product. This is key art. These are what we're aiming for.
No, with that in mind, if they're changing your stupid coffee table book, they're sure as fucking hell changing the end credits art and the stuff that they put out, like around that for sure. I mean, that would be insane if it was the other way. It would be such a weird. All of a sudden, we're doing it differently for this, and this is like way more important because this is going to be scrutinized forever, But so this is it right here, and then if you go over here, you can see right there.
Oh clearly, yeah, that's it. I mean, look, you could say they were able to hide it in a silhouette, but like that. Yeah, this is not concept art, folks. When you see this on a tutorial and someone says, "Here, I made the concept," like, fuck off. This is not. It's like me showing you Chris Helmsworth body and going, "Here's just me doing some workouts." You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not it at all. It's some stretching, little yoga. So yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and like so, it's one of those things where you could go both ways on it, because here you have it where we don't think that this is like true concept art, as we say. It's not. This is basically a production art meant to be consumed and seen as a finished piece of art, not serving the function of informing filmmakers how to make a shot look right or how to make this all come together right. So we have it there, but it's definitely like, so do you think does that give us a hint potentially that Kira is involved in this?
Well, there is a possibility, because some of the concept art they've used for other projects have not been started with the projects they're on. So there's that one High Republic starfighter that they've shown the concept art for. The concept art was done on and I'm trying to remember what project it was. If it was the sequel trilogy but it had no origins from the High Republic era. It was just something, hey, this is cool, can we use it? And that happened with one of the Inquisitors on the Rebels that was designed for Force Awakens, and Filoni liked it and said he can use it. They said no, and he said, all right, it's mine. So is it a possibility that this was initially envisioned for a completely different project that would have Maul in it, and somebody saw it and said, hey, that's cool, can we use it for Book of Boba?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's complete.
I would also add to that. I would add to that really quickly, though, Jason, is that, and I said this when we saw the episode, that this, out of all the episodes we've seen so far, this is the one that has matched the concept art the most in terms of the look and the shots and everything. When you see the concept art and the color and the lighting and the tone, it matches the concept art the most out of all the episodes. Because it's been a shame when you see, even on episode 2, when like you're in the hut with the Tuskens, it's like all red with all this cool like texture and work, and then you get to that shot and you're like, it's not that at all. Like, this is weird. But this looks like you would think that was a shot from the show. That's how close it matches. And that's why I also don't exactly subscribe to the theory that this was shot before everything. This seems like it was shot after, because it looks more like the crew got better and better. This production crew or whatever it was got better and better at hitting this or whatever. Or I don't know, man. Like, it's really weird though how, like, if this is the same people every time, how did this one hit it versus the other ones?
Because I think that you're able to. I think when you're trying to make Jabba's palace and you're trying to make Tatooine's and artificial deserts that look like Tunisia or Death Valley.
I don't know.
And it's not. It all looks artificial. This looks artificial, but it's. I think it's easier to hit because it's so not real. You're able just to like literally make it look like the concept art. I mean, that's my guess.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I go back to that post though from one of the I sent you last week. I think it was from one of the guys at ILM who worked on the episode, who said that we didn't think, you know, when we started with the stagecraft that we'd be able to hit this level of fidelity, you know, let alone this season. And this episode was like a big push for them.
Yeah.
You know, like more so than the other ones. So, yeah, I mean, there's something to say that, yeah, this is, if this were a movie,
it really was.
I would have been like, well, there you go. You know, like they fucking, I could go on the screen and see that on that Irvine Spectrum, 3 stories tall screen, blah, 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 you know, no UFOs at the Star Wars premiere, though. Isn't it weird? They don't care. So Batman gets all the crowds. You know, that's how it works. But yeah, it's super, super dope. But that ship being that prominent right there is no coincidence. It's not a coincidence. If it was way off, it was a little speck. It's the biggest ship in the sky. It's the like you got it's casting. I mean, that's like 3 times the UAP you normally get with UAPs. You know?
Strangely, it's the same quality of detail, though.
Can we just shake around the screen too and go in and out of focus?
Right.
I'm gonna just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna pull up an image of Darth Maul's ship.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I am. I don't know. Like,
I would say this would have been the episode to do it too, given how much prequel shit is in this episode.
Yeah.
Like if they were to sneak it in there, I mean, you got the N1 Starfighter, you got the Beggar's Canyon bit, you know, which by the way, has anyone explained to me how Luke fit a T-16 Skyhopper into that fucking threading the needle? Like what part of the T-16 can fit in that fucking thing?
Well,
no matter how you'd have to angle it. It's like trying to fit a trapezoidal anal plug into an alien probe. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Well,
like that. Remember that soccer ball with the weird shapes and the 2 handles? Where you had to put the weird shapes in there, and you had to pull the handle up to drop the toys out. I used to try to put my hand in there, and it would snap and catch my hand. And I didn't realize you had to pull both the handles to drop all the toys out because I was stupid. But yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it doesn't sound kid friendly. No, but I think when it comes down to like the T-16 concept, they're gonna have to give it some like little tiny wings and cannon here. But when you look at how big the Naboo Starfighter does fit in the canyon, so with that in mind, now I don't know if it originally did, but it does now, and so it is a little bit more possible, I guess. I mean, if it's like a very, you know, it is really small. Like when you look at it in his shop, like he pretty much fills up that whole entire cockpit if he gets in there, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if they ever try to show it visually, they are gonna have to kind of. He's like,
those wings are gonna fold somehow. You'll see. They'll retract in and out or something.
Or they'll like go down further than we expect. You know, instead of being like the shuttle Tidarium thing. Wait, what am I doing? Like this. They'll be more like that. Yeah, like as they go in, they kind of like skinny up or something. So,
well, since it's never been officially on screen, I mean, they could always screw with it in their design. They could change it around. It doesn't have to be exactly like the model he's got in his hand waving around.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking about the one that's in the background.
Yeah.
More than the model.
The wings are folded up.
See
so
that
you don't really get to see it. You don't get a good shot of it.
Yeah, but there is a T-16 in the special edition, right? When they pull into Mos Eisley.
A T-16.
There, booyah! Booyah! Oh, I Guillermo Toro'd you.
Hey,
Crimson Bike. I Nightmare Alley'd you. Right?
I would like somebody to show me in canon where it says that's a T-16.
Yeah, that's a T-16B, sir, not the T-16A.
Yeah, everybody knows that. you just got Pablo Hidalgo.
Oh yeah. That's my favorite. Yeah, we call him Pablo T. Baggins on LARP dates, so you know. I don't know why I said that. Had nothing to do with what we're talking about, but that's how it works.
Well, my takeaway is I still feel like it's probably nothing, but also I'm going to say if it is something, I think it may be hinting that if we are introduced to Kira, maybe she's actually on that planet, And for what it's worth, when I posted those pictures from the set from season 3 of The Mandalorian, I believe it was an elevator just like the one that we saw in Book of Boba. And so with that all laid out right there, my prediction is if she does show up, she shows up in that location. And that's what this was. If this was telegraphing anything, it's that.
You know, they had just there was a press announcement about like the Han Solo comics that are coming out, and they had mentioned that Kira is going to be in those. That to me alone says that she ain't showing up in the show, because I don't think they would allow the comics to touch her character and go there if they had plans for her in any kind of substantial way in TV. I don't think.
Right.
I think she'd be off limits.
Good call.
So yeah, so she's in the comic book. She ain't in the
That's
TV
Cad
show.
Bane flying that ship right there.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
So look at it. No, Mando's got to end one ship, and Cad Bane's got a Sith interceptor, and Boba's got a fire spray, right? And then they're all three going to get into a giant spin. What if I just fucking called the 7th episode? Oh, it's so stupid, right? Like I just said some stupid shit that sound out now. I'm like that. Oh wow. All right, I'll take it.
Could have nailed it.
No,
yeah.
but I also think, and by the way, I don't actually like disagree with you, James. But I also think that if you've worked out what Kira is, what Kira's going to be doing, that does actually free her up to be used in these things. If we have, she's been in the underworld this whole time, and there's been organizational shifts throughout the years, and it's not Crimson Dawn, it's whatever the thing is that she's at now. That does free them up to go, okay, you may use her now. You may do what you want with the character. And she just cannot die, and she cannot become a good guy or something like that.
You don't think she's head of the Pikes, right?
I think not necessarily. I mean, in that situation, I think it may be one of those things where Boba thinks he's going to take down the Pikes and then be free to do what he wants, and then here comes Crimson Dawn. It just doesn't end. There's just more to it, or the organizational ties between the various families is bigger for the Crimora than just the Pikes. Being the issue. I mean, it seems somewhat reasonable, but also very convoluted how to figure this out on screen in a big way. But they did put Maul in Han Solo movie, so what the fuck do I know? I mean, I still look at that and I'm like, I don't hate it. I just question not hinting at it and then doing something with it, or so, like the way that they went about it was very strange.
I've got modifications now. I'm Darth modifications, right? I got a modified butt, like Kim
modified.
Modified butt.
Drop little probe droids out there for my butt.
I mean, she's able to digest like chicken legs pretty well with having a robot tummy.
It's true.
So anything's possible.
No ranch. It's not compatible with the modifications.
No, it doesn't digest. It just goes in there and she just empties it out.
No,
I did.
It's made from blue.
I had a passenger on Friday. I had a passenger on Friday who, as we were talking, it turned out that he was a Star Wars fan. Then he asked, "What do you think of the Book of Boba Fett?" And he's like, "Honestly," and I said, I told him what I thought, and he really liked, this last episode, which I told him I agreed. And then I asked him, I said, "Do you think that the pacing of this story, or like how it's going, is odd to you at all?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "That's why the Mandalorian in this episode made perfect sense, because it's just kind of, the pacing is very different." I asked somebody else too, who's a Star Wars fan, doesn't dissect everything. I asked, just what do you think? Do you think the pacing's different? She said, "Yeah, it's just different. There's something a little odd about it." And I said, "Okay, well," she likes it, just finds that it's the pacing's.
Yeah, I asked my dad. I was like, I'm into all this stuff, and so I'm either way easier to please or I'm hypercritical. What are you thinking about it? And he's, oh, it's pretty fun. Oh, yeah, I like it. You know, turn it on and watch it. It's cool. And so like to him, it's like if you don't really give a shit, it just does a fun little thing. And I guess that part where it's like an 80s television show, you know, that Spencer for Hire kind of comedy of it. I guess it just kind of like works for like on a general level. And then so when I look at the math of it, I'm like, so you're gonna have a bunch of like people that just love it for the member berries. Starting to hate that word, but you have a bunch of people who just love it for the member berries, and then you, yeah, and
that
then, but
sounds
then
like dingleberries,
right? But you add, well, when you add member berries with basic tropes of stupid shit people just generally like, then you kind of have a thing that works on the Disney level, even if it pisses us off.
Where did that word come from? I never heard
South
that member
Park.
berries. Oh,
yeah, it was a funny South Park episode.
Yeah.
But
after the Force Awakens came out, there's a whole thing.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed with and kind of the fan reaction that I've seen after this last episode is that people were a little more willing to admit that they did not like the Book of Boba Fett up to this point, because most people were coming out saying like how this episode really turned the show around. They can't wait to see it now and stuff. So like all these people that were kind of on the sidelines, not saying anything, all of a sudden came out and be like, "Oh, episode 5 is great. Show's back on track."
I don't know what you're talking about, James.
Like,
my racist Fox News listening father loved it when they murdered all those sand people. You know what I mean? Like that's really, he went in there and gave them a bit of America.
We don't say that.
As long as we can kill them sand people. Every episode, I'll be here. I'll get 6 subscriptions to Disney Plus.
Rob, they're Tuscan Raiders, please. Tuscan Raiders.
Huh?
Don't
sorry.
You're gonna get us demonetized.
Yeah, don't be a racist like Obi-Wan, calling them sand people.
The sand dingles, whatever we want to call them now, or
the sand dingles.
they're all just buried. The sand eagles. Yeah, they're buried in the wind.
It's weird because like when you get down to it, like people on the internet aren't really themselves. It takes a long time to learn how to be yourself on the internet. So everything is very performative. And so you end up with people who either like gush for it and they're just like, you know, giving it hand jobs all around. Like the fucking Star Wars glory hole. They can't stop.
Yeah.
Or you have the opposite where it's like, oh my God, my identity is how much I hate this thing now. And
at the ranch, we call them force fluffers.
Force fluffers, yeah. But
we keep it going, you know.
It's like, but also like you do have to like critique it as it goes on, but you also have to give it room to do what it needs to like do, because it is, even though it has no structure so far, it does really end up getting. You have to like let it get where it needs to go, and we have to know, does this stuff pay off or not? Because it's like you really can't get too mad at it and you can't get too happy about it, because where it's at right now, I still think, I didn't think this was going to happen. I actually don't think it sounds good for it. The fact that it like I'm on episode 5 and I'm like, oh, maybe it's going to be good. Maybe.
My take is when I can look at something individually, I can, as an artist, we are always burdened with the, you're only as good as the last thing you did. Right? Doesn't matter if you made The Godfather, if the last movie you made was The Godfather 3, that's your legacy, man. You're never gonna, you got a winning cures everything, right? Kind of thing
as well.
Yeah.
So you never get the first 600 times you were good at it. It's just that last few times you fucked up. That's it.
Yeah.
So when I see the first episode of Boba Fett, I'm like, it's the same crew that made that episode that, was pretty fun and with Boba Fett, like visually not my favorite, but fun action, big action figures. I was waiting to see that crew. Like when's that crew showing back up? Kind of thought episode 2. All right. Episode 3, no, gone. Episode 4, definitely not there. So like that's always been the critique. When is the crew that made these episodes that we already enjoy with the same characters gonna hit that mark? Or when creatively did the decision get made to change that tone 100%? And why would you change something that was working? I get 20 years later, but like 6 months later, change the tone. You were just on a roll. I don't understand.
But I think we see what it was. I mean, no disrespect to Pedro Pascal, Pedro, you're a fine actor, but there's nothing that you're doing that's making this like work or not work. It's really not you. But Din was the difference. When Din came into the episode, he was able to say wizard and nobody got mad. Like that's such a but if Boba Fett said it, you would have been mad. I wouldn't have been mad, but people would have been mad.
But if Din had said it the first episode of Mando, the first 2 episodes,
because they don't
you have to have some time in with the character. So you got to give us the Boba Fett, and then you got to like do all that, and then after he's fucking badass, then you can have more fun with it. They gave us 1.5 episodes of Boba Fett being a badass, and then it went right into all this other shit. And now no one really complained when Tamura Morrison did the like a bantha, right? We were fine with that. But when Boba Fett's trying to be a criminal Din isn't trying to be the world's criminal overlord. He's just a dude on the streets doing his own fucking thing. And that's the difference too. Like when you're trying to be Vito Corleone, you can't be there pulling a Fredo. You got to be Vito Corleone, and you got to be the Robert De Niro Vito Corleone. I mean, he can't be the overweight with the marble mouth, tangerine fucking face. Ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work, man. So
the one thing I'm surprised of. The one thing that surprised me is because the one thing I was critical with Mando season 2 is that I thought it got by a lot on the guest appearances. You get first live action Ahsoka, you get Bo-Katan in there, you get finally Luke in there, and Boba. Boba. So that's what pretty much everybody was talking about. Nobody was like, "Oh my God, Mando's story is the greatest story ever. This character is amazing." It was all about these other side characters coming into Mando. So I was
the Bill Burr scene, dude. The Bill Burr scene where him and Mando are in that room on the table is the best scene out the whole season. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Well, I mean, I'll say the Ahsoka episode is still my favorite of Mando episode of all the episodes of Mando for season 1 and 2. But I was shocked to see how much people reacted to him showing up in Book of Boba then. So it's like, I thought, I'm like, well, they're not really doing much to establish this character as like his own person carrying his own show. It's more like, he needs to bring his friends along to drag him across the finish line. And now he shows up in Book of Boba, and I'm surprised that everybody's like, hey, it's Mando, and they're all excited about it as much as they would be any other kind of character randomly showing up on a TV show. So I gotta say I was probably wrong.
Have we read this show wrong, or are we critiquing the show wrong or misunderstanding them? Are they not being clear? Like we were talking, I think one of the last, I think you were on it, James. I think you were on the episode. We were talking about how in Mando season 2, Boba Fett has a stellar fucking opening. It's it's almost perfect. It's so good. Yep. He looks a little fat at times. He's not even fat. It just wasn't shot that well in certain ways, and it made him look a little bad. But we were like, it's a great opening. He has those great magic moments, and then he doesn't get it here. Yep. Well, are we reading it wrong in seeing there and here as two different things, in the sense that, like, are we supposed to be seeing that intro in Book of Boba as that was the moment that you're talking that you needed for the show? That happened. Yeah, you saw it already, idiot. Like that's what. That's what I've been kind of
in it, bro. It was an episode of Jim being cool, and then him going off doing wizards in episode 1 shit wasn't gonna fly. Yeah. And how about this? If he was never being a bounty hunter, he was spending his whole time just talking to other people about doing bounties. One day I'll do some bounties. We'll do some bounties soon, and then he's not doing any bounties. It's just, this is copying the structure and tone of the show that they just made for this one. Not a good idea. Needs its own voice. Every show needs its own voice. Yeah. Loki has to be the Loki show. Hawkeye needs to be the Hawkeye show. WandaVision needs to be its own show. And they're all their own shows. Winter Soldier, Falcon. They may not be your thing, but they're their own shows. They're not a copy of the other show. Boba Fett had to be its own show. And I think getting the same writers and the same directors, same crew is not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. You know, I hate to say follow the Marvel formula, but for the love of God, Marvel's just doing the thing that Lucas and Spielberg always claimed or dreamt they were going to do one day. Imagine if they were only focused on like 3 properties and built the whole universe out of it in the 80s. That's what we'd be getting. Indiana Jones and the weird poltergeist meets Ghostbusters, like paranormal, real world, X-Files. I mean, you could easily see if you extrapolate. Did you ever read the temp script for Poltergeist 2? Like there was like a script treatment where it was like the military acquired that house and built like a Stargate to the paranormal over that shit. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like there's a whole fucking thing there. They could have, if they were just focused on building out their little universes versus making a new one. And because that's the way the movies were in the 80s, how it was. But if they were, that's what the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be doing. I just think like that's why these all feel the same, right? And it's not it's the same but trying to be different. It's just weird because they nailed the tone of Boba in 1.5 episodes, and to turn it into this, I don't know, man. It almost feels like someone else conjured up the tone of Boba in those episodes, and then whoever was in charge of this said, actually, it's going to be this other thing now. Do you understand what I mean? Like,
I think we nailed it, though. I think we nailed it with they see it as they've already done the work, and they didn't do the work here, and it's all the same people. And no, and you're saying it needs to be a different thing, but remember, it's like almost not a different thing. People making the show thought they were making the fucking 3rd season of Mandalorian for a time, like so.
Right.
I think that might be the problem right there. I mean, I'm just gonna say, sorry, James, you're gonna say something before I cut you off.
Well, I mean, for me, and maybe I'm overly critical because I was someone that was never sold on the original premise of this show. When they said what the show was going to be, I said, "Well, this is dumb." So,
I remember what you said. You said books are for nerds. I hate nerds. Nerds.
People want to learn stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, but then I feel bad for guys like Chris, who was all about this show and then got it and was like,
he'll be on tomorrow night. He'll be on tomorrow night.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he got the worst of it because he was all hyped about this thing. I at least am not disappointed. I will say that, and that I was expecting.
At least he didn't get stuck on the shipping.
Right, yeah.
And not like the romantic kind. I mean, physical shipping. Sorry, go ahead.
To Australia.
Yeah. He was expecting great things from this show, and he was let down. I was not, and so I'm not as disappointed as he is because I said this is not a good idea. This is a bad premise for this character, and I've been validated in what I thought I was going to get so far. So I can't really be mad at getting exactly what I thought I was going to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at Max. Max is she's just like,
I'm just listening.
Max is broken. I think we broke Max. No, she's like, you guys are a bummer.
No. I do want to say, Max, you were talking about when we were talking about Attack of the Clones last week, right? And I think it was Attack of the Clones, and you said when that movie came out, you were at a certain place in your life, so it has a different meaning to you, right? Yeah. So I started thinking, like, is there a movie I've ever seen that I agree everyone seems to hate, and I agree probably not the best movie, but has a deeper meaning to me because of where I was in my life. And actually, it turns out Superman Returns is oddly the fucking movie. I don't think it's a good Superman movie at all. I'm not even going to pretend. But when I came back home from the military, the woman I thought I was going to marry and love had found someone else, was starting a family. I didn't know my place. I'm the one who willingly left. I didn't stalk her outside her fucking house like Superman, right? But like I understand that of coming back to a world that you don't get and has moved on without you, and you don't know where you fit anymore. Your group of friends is all gone. They're not having adventures anymore. Everyone's got a fucking life, and you're still wearing you're trying to be your stupid little goofy nerd self, and they're just like, all right, man. So like, I get that, right? But one still must look at the film and go, yeah, probably not. Make a Superman movie where they just incrementally lift things over and over again, and the main villain is just getting weak. Like it's just like that's just not the best take to do, right? Like, let alone spend $300 million.
Yeah, I think mostly with like Attack of the Clones, there's, and it's like that with any movie or show that I will say overall I like. I might not like everything about it. It's just elements of it that I, connect with, and that specific movie, that whole episode or the whole scene where, she was having that conversation with Anakin, saying, he's saying, we can keep it a secret. And she says, could you do that? Could you live a lie? And like I said, that was something that was mirroring what was going on in my life at that time, and where I even contemplated, keeping a relationship a secret.
Yeah.
So it hit me differently. So and it, like I said, it's just probably certain parts of the movie that I liked, where I could overlook stuff that may not have.
I think we all have that. There has to be a movie we all connect to in a way that exists outside of the film, right? Like the film proper. So, and some people I know, they never want to admit, oh no, man, I only like all the great films. I don't like any of the films and no one else. I only like what's in the top. Like, that's not true. I mean, I got a friend that loves No Retreat, No Surrender. You want to get into that one? Where God bless Brandon Lee's daughter, or Bruce Lee's daughter, getting all, up in a tizzy about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I'm like, where was the family when No Retreat, No Surrender was made, and the ghost of Bruce Lee taught a white kid to fight Jean-Claude Van Damme? Like, where was the family then? Like, saving us from that fucking film. You want to see the precursor to Cobra Kai? Go watch No Retreat, No Surrender. Matter of fact, I really should try to get Van Damme to come back as that character in season 5. I'm just saying, like, it'd be the total crossover of this century, right? I know you never thought the conversation would go there, but yeah, here we are.
Yeah, well, to me, that there are like elements of like snobbery, and I don't think that they're really once again, to use the word earned. When you are watching popcorn movies, when you're going to see movies with superheroes in them, and you're gonna in any way pretend that you're above anything, and you do that at all, unless you're wearing a fucking scarf and only like watching, people who watch Alejandro Jodorowsky films or something.
Pinky out.
Yeah. It's like, so like you have people that like looked out. It's like, and there are different levels of like Phantom Menace isn't fucking Space Jam or something. You know what I mean? It's just not. But at the same time, so fucking what if it was? I mean, like that's one of those movies like where I had a fun time with Phantom Menace the times I saw it in the theater when it came out and I was younger. I had a fun time around the time it came out, and there's not a lot of movies that I could think of where I did actually have that kind of, So whenever I put that movie on, it came on last night. I put it on last night when I was putting my kids to bed, and I started watching, and I ended up kind of sitting down watching the whole fucking thing. And you know what I mean? It's like I had a good time, and it's like so there definitely is something to be said. Like, I'm not a person who feels like the first time you watch a movie totally informs it for the rest of your life, and it's so the most important thing that ever happened. I think that's kind of stupid, but I do think that the era in which you saw it and stuff like that does. You do like go like, it's like when you think back to memories of childhood friends and like what you said and what they did, what stuff like that. If those things happened as an adult, you'd be like, what the fuck are you? Are you crazy? And you wouldn't have that, but you let it go in your mind because you were that person then. And so the person you were when you saw it definitely affects the movie later on. Right.
I have a close art friend who likes to clown me when he goes, "Oh, you think Phantom Menace is good, huh?" I'm like, out of the prequels, yeah, it's the best one. And I look at him like, you fucking love Street Fighter 2 the movie. Do not fucking shame me for the Phantom Menace, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday. What do you want?
To me, it's about, it's about the tone of where you're trying to get. Because I will say a movie like Armageddon is bad because it's a movie that's a popcorn flick that's taken itself way too fucking serious. Like if they understood like a movie like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, they're like, yeah, we know this is a campy movie. We're fully embracing the cheesiness of this movie, and it's great because it understands exactly what it's trying to be. When these movies are trying to be something that they're not, that's where they're bad. So it's not about, well, this is highbrow and this is lowbrow. It's more about kind of understanding who you are. It would be like trying to like say, you're trying to write a Ramones song and be like, well, this isn't Dream Theater.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, no shit.
Fuck you, Johnny.
I would agree, James, but that is a double-edged sword. It is a double-edged sword because it works in this reverse. When Star Wars sells you on it being the greatest fucking thing ever, but they show up with campy drivel,
no, that's
you don't get to play those cards.
That's the fans saying that. That's not the people making Star Wars saying.
No, I'm talking about Lucas
like
marketing. Marketing tells you this is the big fucking deal, but it isn't.
Let's take it to Robert Rodriguez saying it over delivers.
Yeah.
In that instance, that is one where
if you
that's what I'm talking about.
But more than not, Phantom Menace, other than taking some shots at Godzilla, never said this is going to be the best movie you're ever going to see. Get ready. We said that. We said that.
Lucas said these are high budget B movies. That was from George Lucas, and that's exactly what they are. They're high budget B movies. This is Roger Corman with
no B movie calls itself a saga, James.
Saga.
It's not true.
How many episodes?
No, you can't. It's not a B movie. You may treat it that's a self-deprecation maneuver that you use to take yourself out of that. No, I'm not.
Pokemon the Saga.
That's what I'm telling you. Like they call it a saga, man. Saga.
B movie.
So
saga.
I mean,
saga. So like you can't have it both ways. If it's a little B movie, then it's fucking Iron Eagle. You don't go the Iron Eagle saga with the slow text in Times New Roman font, all colored gold and shit. That ain't a B movie, man.
Our artist intent.
Cereal. It's
Guardians of the Galaxy treats itself more as a B movie than Star Wars.
But the artist's intent is what's important. If the artist intended it to be one thing and then it's another, and it's a happy accident, then we're down to give him credit. Good work. People do that to George Lucas all the time, which is a happy accident, which is bullshit. There's no happy accidents in something that massive, There's millions of decisions that went into making that right. But that said, I mean, if George was trying to write dialogue like he was writing, I don't know, a Francis Ford Coppola movie, then he fucked up. He fucked up bad. Oh yeah, he fucked it up. But at the same time, he clearly didn't prize that, didn't give a shit about that, and was like, no, this shit doesn't matter. All that matters is the intent, and the picture's pretty at the same time. And that's
but when they put a movie trailer, right, and they market something goes once in a generation, a saga only is great.
Is that the movie?
The fucking duck.
Is the marketing the movie? I think it's a question worth asking as well.
It is the tone they set when you go to see the film. 100%. 100%.
But for a liminal time, how many people today are?
We are not allowed to put Phantom Menace on a shirt. It has to say Episode 1, Phantom Menace on a shirt. They're taking themselves way fucking seriously.
No. But
too seriously. And so you need to show up. If you're going to treat yourself like fucking Braveheart style, like 90s fucking serious Oscar material, then you got to maintain
I don't know.
that.
I don't know if a movie that's been out for over 20 years now, if I'm going to judge it based off of the 6 months of media.
Okay, I'm not talking about the marketing even now.
Yeah.
The marketing even now for Boba was very, this is the thing, and it's over here, and I'm a Boba. If I'm a, bounty hunting isn't gonna, and then you see, you're like, I don't know what we're watching.
But what I'm saying is that critique is valid for a time, and then it's not anymore. Post release, and after you get far away from it, then it just is what it is, right? And it doesn't really matter what they said. But it's like we've all seen movies where we think, like when you watch The fucking Room. Like that guy wasn't making a joke. He really thought he was making a fucking serious piece of storytelling, and it's hilarious how off it is the whole time.
And remember how off we were on the first trailers for Book of Boba, and how everybody was kind of like meh, including Rob here, who was like, nah, not a good trailer. Maybe now we know why. Not a very good first run of episodes there to pull.
Yeah, which was what I got called the R word.
We got what we got.
I laughed at that.
Underwhelming.
Wow. Yeah, Joel, M fuckers. All right, get it right. It's M fuckers. It's a-holes. R words and M fuckers.
I still haven't changed my name from Striker. Does anyone like that?
I'm changing my name to Pablo Teabaggins, Joel. So just wait. That's my
name. I do like the movie AI.
I think
it's a flawed movie, but I overall really like that movie. I'm not going to say that it's one of those things like Rob was talking. I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece, but I mean, it's well directed, it's well lit, and you know, it's certainly groundbreaking in a lot of ways. But it's a movie that resonates with me a lot in a lot of ways. So it's kind of like, well, Max was saying that Attack of the Clones means something to her. This is a movie that kind of hits close to home for me, and so I probably give it more praise than maybe it's deserving. But yeah, I love that movie. Depressing as fuck. I can't watch it all the time without like wanting to, you know, go on a drinking binge.
I saw it when it came out in the theater, and I enjoyed it, but you know, it didn't stick with me for whatever reason. And I'm kind of into the ideas behind it, but it didn't stick with me. But yeah, maybe I'll give it a rewatch because it's been a while.
One of my favorite John Williams soundtracks from AI. Mm-hmm. Really love the music from that one. Probably the last really good musical score that he did that I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing about prequel defense, if you will, is that like between the visuals and the John Williams, still better than any fucking movie you probably saw recently. Just that alone.
The prequel music all over is pretty good. Killer. You know, like even the weird guitar, it's all really excellent stuff.
Oh yeah,
I mean, especially compared to whatever he did on the sequel trilogy, which aside from Ray's theme is completely forgettable.
Yeah.
So
I at the prospect of sounding pretentious, the Holy Mountain is probably one of my favorite films. I think it's one of the most batshit fucking powerful movies I've ever seen. I feel like when you watch it, when you read it as symbolism, you have a whole conversation with it. I've had people who've seen it who felt that it was a profound experience, and other people that just said this is complete horseshit, but it was funny to me. You know, they just thought it was trash. But I think if you have any interest in you know, I don't know, symbols and stuff, there's a conversation that the director is having, and it does have a coherency to it, I think. But it's fucking wild. But I'm a big fan.
Have you seen The Lighthouse? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking of when you.
I've never seen that.
What it's like to have guard duty in the military in the middle of fucking nowhere. That's what that movie is like. I'm telling you. It was the last movie I got to watch. Like we streamed it at the same time. My buddy before he passed, my army buddy. So we were just sitting there like he's like he's real into that Lynchian. You know, Eraserhead, and I'm like, fuck, we're back to Eraserhead with farts. But it is an amazing.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
It's an experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it proves how much black and white. You know.
Yeah,
it's great.
Very powerful. Yeah.
Max, have you ever seen Santa Sangre?
Were big fans of who?
Have you seen Santa Sangre?
Right? This guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Santa Sangre is fucking great. Like that one, I think it's like almost like a remake of Psycho, but I think it's much better. Right? It's Alejandro Jodorowsky, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I had two friends that are huge fans of him, and they introduced me to him. So it was yeah, that was the first movie that I saw.
Yeah,
and I know Rob talks a lot about David Lynch, but I actually like his college material. I think when he was first starting out, actually I bought a DVD that he has. It's like a compilation about his early works, which I found interesting.
I'll listen to David Lynch talk all day. I think David Lynch talking is a fascinating, insightful experience into creative anything. Like he's a fantastic speaker. I can't fucking stand anything he did outside of Twin Peaks. Like it is. I don't look. Well, it's not good or bad. It is you're something that you just doesn't connect and repulses you for whatever reason, and that is it's like we're magnetic opposites. So
yeah.
Did you ever see that movie? I'll go on, Max.
I haven't seen. I haven't seen any of his. Like I haven't seen Blue Velvet. I never watched Twin Peaks. Actually, I wasn't interested in TV during that time. I didn't watch a lot of shows in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Or TV very much. I listened mostly to music and I was working. Oops,
right.
The thing.
I knew my son was I mean, obviously he's not growing up, but I know he's growing up to be cool because he put on that David Lynch movie where he has the chimp that's just talking. and it's like an interview with the chimp, and the chimp's just like talking shit. It's like old curmudgeon, and he watched it like 3 or 4 times.
Really?
He thinks it's hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just so weird. He looks at it and he's like, it's just so weird looking, and he can't stop. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, he's gonna grow up to be pretty neat. You know what I mean?
Wait a
in that
minute.
way.
David Lynch did the Elephant Man.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, again, not my movie. I've tried. I've tried.
Rodriguez did say, "I'll kill her, no filler," and he said the Elephant Man. And shout out to Spies Like Us. Lost a friend over Spies Like
Donna
Us.
Dixon. That's when Dan Aykroyd met Donna Dixon. What?
No.
What?
We don't want to go down that route. Rome is real. Basically, I had a friend, and we were like, this was like 2000s, around Attack of the Clones, actually, and we're like trying to find Spies Like Us. You just couldn't find Spies Like Us in 2002. Kind of hard. Like, not saying it was like a movie that was like impossible to find, but if you try to go to like Walmart or something and get it, it wasn't there yet. Like, it wasn't. It was just really hard to find. And so we go around for like hours. We finally find Spies Like Us. And then his girlfriend shows up, and I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna watch Spies Like Us. You ready?" And she's like, "No, I don't watch Spies Like Us." And he's like, "Oh, you don't?" He's like, "Well, maybe we'll watch Spies Like Us tomorrow." That was it. That was it. Not friends anymore. Never talk to him again, because you do not go on a Spies Like Us quest and then back out at the last fucking minute. I was Frodo. That was the ring, and my Sam was a little bitch, and I'll never forget that. Yeah. But anyways, well, we hit our 2-hour mark. Because I wasn't clear earlier, I'm not saying what I saw was a little spaceman. I'm not even saying what I saw was the same thing that Greenstreet saw. I think it was, but I didn't track it there, so how can I say, right? But yeah. And anybody else have anything to say before we call it a day?
No, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night.
Yeah,
we're gonna be back tomorrow. We're gonna be back tomorrow in the morning. If there's any Star Wars news, we'll cover it. But the main show will be tomorrow night at 1 a.m. After the Book of Boba airs, where we go through the episode. Of course, James and Max, you guys are both welcome to come. I hope if you're up, you are.
I will be
on the show. We're gonna have Chris from Australia.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. But yeah, so anyways, we'll see you guys tomorrow. And thanks to everyone who's a Patreon supporter and a channel member and all that jazz. It definitely helps. And if you're not one and you enjoy the show pretty often, consider becoming one. Otherwise, I hate your guts. Don't watch us. No, I'm kidding. But I appreciate anybody who just hangs out with us every day and stuff like that. It is fun. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not about spaceships.
Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.
It's not about spaceships.
Oh, hello.
Hola.
I am making Star Wars.